afternoon. Super happy to be here. So great to have an event, another event in person. Finally, after a couple of years, it's really amazing to be finally in person, connecting with so many people, so many leaders, and super excited about the last couple of days. We heard quite a bit about the volatility, the uncertainty, the challenges. But actually, as I think we all know, with crisis, so there is opportunity, and we also come across great things that are happening out there. So many companies are innovating and are really making the difference in the way they operate, in the way they run the business. So today we're going to take some time just to share with you one of these great innovation stories. I'm Gonzalo Benedit. I am the general manager for the Aera Technology operations in EMEA. Aera Technology is precisely the company you've just watched the video about, which is the decision intelligence platform that supports the digitization, augmentation, and automations of decisions for the enterprise at scale. And I'm super delighted to have with me, joining us today, Olivier Carnet. Olivier is the EVP supply chain for Unilever. Olivier?
Yes, hello everybody. My name is Olivier Carnet. I'm the EVP transformation for supply chain. And of course, at Unilever, I'm going to make a very short introduction of Unilever. I'm sure everybody knows Unilever. We have 400 plus brands. We're operating in 180 countries around the world. It's a 50 plus billion euro turnover in consumer goods, coordinating a team of 150,000 people. And we've been partnering Aera for the last 5 years.
Excellent. Shall we?
Yeah.
Again, great to have you with us, Olivier, today. So Unilever started the journey now a few years ago, with Aera around decision intelligence. Can we share with us a little bit more around the why?
Yes. So we were back in 17, 5 years ago. We were looking at opportunities in the field of artificial intelligence. And what we were looking for is really, how do we use artificial intelligence to manage complex decision making in a much faster and better and more efficient way? So we started with, and we approached Aera. And as the video said, it was not about automating the tasks necessarily, but it was really about replacing progressively decisions which are made by people normally very much based on emotion, based on experience, into moving to decision based on data prediction, and have decisions which are solid and grounded to make the right impact on the business every day by people running operations. So I think what we really enjoyed with the collaboration with Aera from the beginning was the openness that you guys had. It was not about Aera telling us artificial intelligence is this and this is the program you have to deploy, but we really had a good exchange on what we were needed and what you were providing and how we could make that platform evolve together.
No, absolutely. Well, and for us, it's been an immense privilege, right? So you know how much we, the whole Unilever team, and just have the opportunity to go along the journey with you. Can you share with the audience a little bit more around the benefits, right? So what was after again a few years of experimenting in decision intelligence? Which are the highlights? Okay. What have you learned?
So something the audience need to understand about Aera is that we don't create on Aera platform some automation necessarily. We create skills. So it's like a skill that human would have, but the machine has the skill. And a skill, for example, is the ability to adjust the PO on materials for a factory based on how the market is going, how the orders are going, how is the stock, how is the manufacturing, and collaborating with all those systems to have the machine retaining, accelerating, or letting the PO go. So far, we have developed with Aera 12 skills, and we are working in developing another 10 skills. To give you an idea on the numbers for Europe. Since the 1st of Jan till the 1st of May, there has been 220,000 decisions in Europe only made with Aera. Those decisions are either on human in the loop, human out of the loop, or human on the loop.
You said 220,000 decisions.
Yeah. So it reflects the number of decisions that our teams are making on a day-to-day operation, you know, which is about, it can be about launching a production or releasing a PO or adapting to a customer order. So the benefit really is better customer service, lower cost, and all the better stock management. So all the usual parameters of the supply chain. And the way it works really is that the skill offers the possibility either to the operator to make a decision based on data, which is very traditional, which is what we call human in the loop, or to make a decision based on 2 or 3 options, which is what we call human on the loop.
And that is, sorry, decision augmentation, right? So that would be basically giving the human more ammunition to make the right decision.
That's correct, yes. So the skill is coming with, you have 3 options. If you do that, that will give you that result. And if you do that, that will give you that other result of what you want to do. And then you can have full automation. What we do with Aera is that when we reach, in some skills, 80% of operator following the recommendation, at the point of time, the machine auto run the decision by itself.
There are a couple of, a few things and maybe a follow-on question on that, Olivier. So to me, again, the 220,000 decisions in a few months of the year, to me that's impressive. And look, some of them are kind of trivial decisions, so very small decisions. Some of them are much more important. But if you think about the sheer volume of decisions, there are just so many of those decisions that today are not being taken. So I guess so there's many of them that were before taken by humans, but I guess also many others that were not even taken, right? And then the other aspect that's interesting, and so we were discussing about this yesterday, is the fact that every single one of those 220,000 decisions is being registered. And basically it's generating a memory that would allow, in this case Unilever, to learn about how to optimize decision making in the future. Yeah. To me that's pretty fascinating.
Yeah, that's a very interesting point you're making, because when we worked on the next step of our collaboration with Aera and stuff like scaling up and building new skills which are coordinating the end-to-end chain, some colleagues very senior colleagues in supply chain told me, I'm not sure we're using Aera actually. And then we came with, okay, this is the number of decisions, this is where the decisions have been made. You can consult some of the decisions. You keep the record of each single decision. You're saying many decisions were not taken. I would say many decisions were taken by defect. And you know, people used to have to take that decision so they continue, even if conditions have changed. I mean, we're in a much more VUCA world, requiring much more agility. So I think the beauty of what we're doing is that we're doing much better quality of decision based on data and based on what it will become.
Olivier, I know that for you and for many of your colleagues at Unilever, so having the teams behind what you do is critical. And we heard a number of the execs earlier this morning talking about the importance of getting the team behind, and so the engagement of the people. But we also heard that quite often when it comes to artificial intelligence, so there's a perception around AI being a black box that people maybe have a hard time to understand. We at Aera work very hard in trying to make it a glass box, right? So, and provide the context so for humans to truly understand the decisions that are proposed. But can you maybe comment on your experience in terms of the people engagement and throughout the journey at Unilever?
Yeah. So we have a few KPIs when we develop artificial intelligence, and one is user adhesion or acceptance. you know, I mean, in all our system, and someone from Kinexis was there this morning, you still have a lot of human interaction where we ask human to validate or to feed some data or eventually to link it to something else. So we measure how many % of the people who start to have access to decision making by enhanced by Aera are following the recommendation or eventually are ignoring it completely. In North America, for example, I mean, I'm sure many people are familiar with the North American market. When you start with Aera, there is a bit of a, I mean, there has been in some cases a bit of a pushback on why would I use that? I know my job, is the machine going to replace me, and so on. So first month user acceptance was very low. But then you always have one or two guys who are giving it a chance. And then they coming and they say, look, it helped. It simplified my work. Most planners in the world, in the case of planning, are complaining about the pressure and the number of tasks that they have to do in one day. So progressively, rapidly we moved into a vertical move. It was not on the first day, to be honest. It was anything between the second and the third month. And then there was a big acceptance. People understood that it was making their life easier. It was coming to better quality of decision. And we were not just asking them to get replaced by a machine and disappear the next day. I mean, that being said, it requires people to adapt as well, because the quality of their work is changing. I mean, they have less number of hit-the-button tasks and more about thinking of, now this is a critical decision you have to make. There are boards that they can have in the morning on, these are the decisions that you will have to take today, for example, and they can really think. So it's an education of the people as well, of the operators, on moving to a different work, as the video was saying.
Well, I think Sami from Reckitt this morning was talking precisely about these innovation programs or initiatives cannot be perceived as something that comes on top of your daily job, right? So it's like, how do you consider, again, in this case, this program, right, an opportunity to elevate human work, right?
Yes.
So to elevate the impact that your colleagues are having in the business. When it comes to the profile of the people, you talked about it requires maybe, again, a different approach. So, but have you seen the need, and maybe picking on Sami as well, so he talked about building internal data science capabilities, right? So have you seen the need to evolve the profile of the colleagues in the team?
So in the first phase, no. In the phase where we are now, where we are ramping up and moving to more geographies and more application and going to broader, it does. So it does need, of course, a bit of a unlearn and relearn of what is my work, and bringing really that aspect of if I got the chance, I mean, particularly human on the loop decision, Aera giving you 3 options is where you create a lot of value in that evolution. Why is it that I have that option? What does it mean really having those options? So it's really relearning about business imperatives more than automatism. So I think that's one. And of course, the point as well is that you can work with a lot of people in the consulting industry to develop your skills. But I think what we are really working on now is building more an engine on our side to be able to build our skills ourselves. So using the platforms to build our skills. Our ambition is to multiply the number of skills that we have running over the next 3 to 5 years by 5, and we want to continue to keep the control of the process. So from an organizational standpoint, this is where we are really building the muscle now to work together with Aera, because Aera you're evolving with the platform as well, in order that we keep the full control on what we're building in our company.
Yeah, I think it's, and again, we discussed many times about this, a criticality on developing and retaining the knowledge, right? So it's not just the talent, but the knowledge, right? So in so many cases, in very specific functions, the knowledge on how to optimize a decision, how to come up with the best decision is in the heads of a few people.
Yeah.
And we've been talking a lot about the great resignation, right? So that one individual moves on, and then there is a lot of knowledge that moves on as well, right?
Yeah.
And I think with a platform where you combine and you digitize the way decisions are made, and you registers all of the decisions throughout time, you keep that learning. And we're even talking about this morning what's the optimal combination between knowledge, so the new talent, so a combination of on the one hand, so business understanding, but also people that are more and more tech savvy, people that understand about data, so have a basic understanding on data science, and obviously how they would run based on an existing memory and knowledge they have. So very impressive journey so far, but I know this is only the beginning. What's next? You kind of gave us a few hints around going global, but what's next in terms of the vision?
I think the key point really is that first, scaling up. So like for many technologies which are somehow enhancer rather than fundamental. I mean, if you're doing your ERP for the first time in the 90s, you do it everywhere and you don't really give the choice. But when you're starting with cognitive automation or intelligent decision, I mean, you do it with the people. So we started where there was some requirement in Unilever, and then we started to accelerate more and more. I mean, and another example is the DRP in Europe, where we started with even one country, and the other countries in Europe started to ask for it and say, can you please install it to my market as well? And rapidly it was rolled out over Europe. Now we understand the value of the 12 skills that we have, so it's really about putting it at the global level. So you know very well we have that matrix where we follow the implementation. The second one is to give more focus to across the company skills. We have a very segmented architecture of our systems. I mean, we're using Kinexys for planning, and then we're using OTM for transportation, to refer to two other partners of that conference. And then, of course, the first temptation is to bring that layer on top of OTM and Kinexys and your other system and your SAP, and put that cognitive capability that people were putting before with their own brain. But then you bring it as well with other functions, particularly the sales functions and everything which is covering operations. So the second one we're doing is really there. So scaling up geographically and going across the company in terms of functions.
And so on the second one, there's a colleague of mine that refers to this phrase talking about the gold is in the joints, right? So, and it's precisely in connecting the silos, in getting the silos to speak with each other, the different divisions, whether it's because it's, I don't know, they operate in a different system, but also because maybe they have their own KPIs, their own metrics, and it's that connecting the silos that might help you in finding gold. And I think there is, in speaking in working with your teams, there's always kind of this challenge around how to make the skills, those digital workers, more and more intelligent over time. I think that's fascinating. We're pretty much running out of time. I think I could stay there for the next hour, Olivier. But so, if you were to recommend to some of the leaders in the audience, so how to get started, how to approach decision intelligence. You've been a leader in supply chain for now quite some time across the globe.
Sure.
So what would be your advice to the audience?
In a nutshell, two things. Where are decisions impacting the most the business, which are involving a complex setup of data and systems? And if it's very VUCA, it's even better, because this is where the human brain has the limitation. So I think that would be the very first one, and then as well, I think where there is data that you know that it would be useful to make the right decision, but at this one it's too complex to integrate all the data. You know, I mean, we have ice cream business, weather sources. I mean, the weather forecast is very important. You don't traditionally put that into it. So I think this is the two things: where to start to make it work. choose something which is impacting really your business, where there is complexity and a bit of variability of data, and that you're pretty sure that it's going to beat the human.
Excellent. Well, Olivier.
And last point, by the way, do it with your teams, because the teams, the first time you come with artificial intelligence, the teams think you're going to reduce my job, and there is an education job to be done, which is let's do it together. It's going to change your job, but it's going to make it a better job and a better outcome. So.
Well, it's got to elevate the job, the human job, right? Yeah. So that's, Olivier, always incredibly inspiring to speak with you. Thank you so much for being with us, and for sharing with the audience your story, the Unilever story. It's for us at Aera, where every one of us, 500 people, colleagues, is incredibly proud of having Unilever as a partner, and we keep on innovating with you. So thank you so much. For the audience, so if you want to know a little bit more around the story around Aera Technology, so feel free to visit us outside in the booth or reach out to us. Thank you so much, and have a great rest of the day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.